those people. So we're going in and check it out. Come with us.
There's a lot I just never think of. Mortal Kombat was just announced, and I am both Melina and Katana in Mortal Kombat, and I'm finally allowed to say it. It is awesome. It's really awesome. I'm Ayu in Persona. What do you guys? What are some things that I've done that you care about? Raise your hand. What? Bleach. So I phoned in Momo and Bleach, both of them. Yeah.
Fire Emblem and Rune Factory.
The Fire Emblem and Rune Factory, yes. I do 5 different characters in League of Legends.
Whoa!
Yeah.
They get to have accents and stuff?
They do. Yeah, they do. Helena and Dead or Alive, Poison. What I don't know. Yeah? Toradora. Ooh, that was fun. Yeah, it's so fun to remember what I do because I forget. Anybody else?
We're good in anime.
What did I do? The green. Magi, yes. And I have a really cool small role in Kill La Kill with a tennis player. How do you? Akodate, yeah. This is really cool.
Crazy and awesome.
Anyway.
This is like a reverse Q&A where we ask all the questions and then you have an answer.
What do I do?
So yeah, if anyone has any questions, we may have answers, we'll say. But it would help if you raised your hand before you asked the question. Otherwise,
If you guys don't ask questions, we can ask questions.
then it's gonna get really awkward. Oh, that was easy. All right, time to go.
I got a question.
Oh.
So I am a huge fan of Cristina Vee.
We have so much in common.
Yeah. Because Christina is a singer as well, and she has a gorgeous voice, and I just feel like you made a decision at some point in your life, I want to do this. And out of never having done it all before, I mean, you've always sung, but you just decided, you know what, I really want to do this, and you made your life happen. Like, you made your success happen. And it's really inspiring, because I know some actors who kind of just fell into it and it just started happening. But you were like, this is what I want, and I want to make that happen. And you're such a kind and sweet person at the same time. So no, it's like you're really driven and really ambitious, but at the same time you're just sweet and you've just got this beautiful heart. So how did you do it?
You know, I made the decision that there's nothing more that I want to do in life than to act and to sing. And, you know, it was just really a choice. Like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this happen no matter what. And I don't know, I think there's just something about that mindset, because I've seen other people too, where when you decide to do something and it's not like it just really happened. Like, I've fallen so many times, I've failed a lot, but it didn't matter because I know I kind of have like a vision of where I want my life to be. And so, yeah, that was not too bumbled.
It's just really inspiring to me, because I think there's a lot of us with dreams, and sometimes you have a dream and you're like, I don't know if I can do it, or should I do it, or, you know, just to hear somebody who, like, it wasn't like you had family who did it, or it was just, you just decided, I want to do this, and you made it happen. So I just think that's really a good story to hear. What about you guys?
Question right here in green Titan Richard.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, I was just curious, like, I went to an all-girls school, like, from 7th grade to 12th grade, like...
Oh, I see that anime.
Uniforms, our skirts they could be at shortest or like an inch above the knee, girls would roll. But anyway, so we were always hearing, you know, like, female, like, you know, you can do this, it was great, but did you all ever have, like, either, like, a group of, like, inspirational women in your life, or like one in particular that really was supportive or inspiring in any way?
Ooh, inspirational women in your life. That's a good question. So Karen's gonna start.
Oh boy. Okay. I would say that I don't think that it's any one in particular. I grew up with just my mom at home, so I only really had a female role model in that regard. There were I mean, I had an uncle, and I had lots of like surrogate family, and my best friend's parents, and parents of friends at church and stuff to be great examples. But I think my family is very matriarchal. It's my grandmother, and then it's my aunts who are, they run the show. So I never really thought, well, I can't do that because I'm a girl. Never crossed my mind ever, which is great. So I'd say that my mom, she's my biggest cheerleader. When I was in theater, she was at every show. In high school, our department was really small, so she was there to help our director. She was kind of the stage manager. I moved away to go to college, and she would fly out and see every play I was in. So yeah, go mom. And maybe someone may ask this later, so I'll just say it right now. If there's somebody in the realm of voice acting that I look up to a lot. Before I even became a voice actress, I was an anime fan. I liked anime, and I remember I made so dumb. I made this poster in my room. Maybe it was when I was just getting started, and it was meant to be a visual reminder of things that I wanted to accomplish in my life. And so it had a picture of a married couple, random people from a magazine. It had a picture of perfect teeth. It had a little house and a dog, and had a picture of an Academy Award, just to, not that I must win one, but just to represent acting. It had a picture of Sailor Moon because it's my favorite show ever. And then it had a picture of Lucy Christian. For real, I'm not joking. I'd never met her before, but I just knew her and knew her work and loved her voice, and knew that we shared the same belief system, and I just really thought she was an awesome, awesome actress in person. So that was my little inspiration poster. And it's pretty wild because now I'm married, I have fancy teeth, and it's great to have a dog and have a house. And I haven't been in Sailor Moon, but I'm in anime. And Lucy is my friend, and I directed her, and I still super, super duper look up to her. She's rad. I love me some Elsie.
I shouldn't let you go first because your answer was really good. Now it's gonna sound dumb. As a kid, both my parents worked, so a lot of my diet growing up was just entertainment, which is how I got into anime in the first place. But my inspiration was watching the Disney movie Mulan. And I wanted to be a warrior like her, so I studied martial arts and sword fighting and stuff like that. And it was just the idea of... Yes, I actually do kendo and DI.
You still do that?
Yes, I do.
That's so cool.
And so she was sort of my inspiration, not just, to be a warrior, but to do your best at whatever you can, not just for yourself, but for the sake of those you love.
So, this is something I've recently realized, and it came from, I don't know why I rediscovered her, but it happened really recently. But there was a singer named Selena Quintanilla, and she was really big in our family. And, it was kind of my mom's thing, but, now looking back, I can see how big of an influence she's been in my life. When I was about 5 or 6, we performed, me and my brother and my sister with Selena, and I was on the drums, and we did all her music and traveled around and did talent shows and stuff like that. And that inspired me to play the drums. And then just looking for a positive Mexican role model, I think that it's wonderful because obviously I'm Mexican, but just to see she broke all those barriers, and she was Mexican and American, and she sang in Spanish and English. I was gonna say Japanese, but so yeah, she's had a really big impact on my life. Sailor Moon too. I didn't realize how special this, when you're young. I mean, you don't really, you don't know, but Sailor Moon, just being about girls and fighting and being awesome, and it wasn't about them being girls either. It's just this is how it is. We're just kicking butt. I really loved it, and I grew up watching that show, and so those are my inspirations.
Those are great stories.
I'm tweeting, by the way. I'm not just that obnoxious girl on the phone who's not interested in y'all. I'm trying to tweet about this awesome channel.
Oh, that's such a good idea. I went to an all-girls school as well. I went to a school, I'm going to digress, but it's a cool story. I went to a school called National Cathedral School in Washington, D.C.
Catholic school?
Episcopal.
Oh, yeah.
And I was we were like right next door to the Washington Cathedral. Did anybody know that there's a huge cathedral in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and it just got damaged in an earthquake last year, so they're repairing it. But if you ever get to go to Washington, D.C., it's a beautiful cathedral. And I'm digressing, but it's a cool story. I used to be a bell ringer there.
Awesome.
So they have bells, you get up to the very top. It also meant that I got to know every nook and cranny of the cathedral, and they have all these secret passages, like in stories, like in anime. And they have all these secret passages and stairways and elevators to get to the very top where the bells are. And then they have 10 bells at the very, very top of the cathedral. And then underneath the floor with the bells is a room with 10 ropes that hang through the ceiling. And I learned how, like Quasimodo, I learned how to ring those bells. And it's a sort of a rare talent in the world. Like I can fly to England and ring the bells in churches in England if I want to, because I'm Whitechapel Guild.
I'm going to interrupt your story. I was just in Dublin, and we took a tour of Christchurch Cathedral, and you can go up into their bell tower, and they let you ring them. It's so awesome!
Is that cool?
Yeah.
It's like a little scary, but it's really, really cool.
Because like bells are heavy, you guys, and if you hold on and you ring it the wrong way, you'll let go flying up to the ceiling.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
Anyway, that has nothing to do, I guess, with female leadership, but I did go to an all-girls school, and I did get to do that, and I kind of complained about being in an all-girls school when I was there at the time, but I got a really great education, and I also, like, I grew up thinking, I didn't think that, you know, I was in leadership positions. I was vice president of my class and stuff like that, and so, but we weren't competing with guys. I don't know what it would have been like if we would have been competing with guys, but it was a kind of a cool experience, and we did wear those little short skirts and stuff. Yeah. Until we were allowed to wear corduroys, because in the 80s corduroys were in. You know, I haven't had like a woman that's like, oh my gosh, this woman is my idol. But there are two women that strangely come to mind. One is Jodie Foster, because when I grew up, I loved every single thing that she was in, and my dream has always been to be, I love movies and TV, and as some of you know, I do a lot of movies and TV as well as voiceover. But I was so inspired by Jodie Foster, because her acting was so beautiful and vulnerable, but she was strong, and she targeted what she wanted to do, and she kind of had a vision, and I was inspired by her and looked up to her. The other woman who's been an immense inspiration for me is Helen Keller. When I was, I guess, 13 or 14, I played Helen Keller in a play called The Miracle Worker at my school. Did you really? Oh my gosh! And
Perform it now, both of you, now that you're here.
I had to play deaf and blind and dumb, and I spent hours and hours in the theater. I blindfolded myself, and I would just walk around the stage and get to know everything without seeing it. And I read a lot about Helen Keller, and this is a woman, like, 200 years ago? When did she live? 120 years ago? Helen Keller, 150 years ago?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
But I mean, she went to either Harvard or Yale. Eventually, and this was a woman who did not, as a little girl, she lived as an animal. She did not know that communication existed. So we take communication for granted, but people were just moving and flailing around her, and she couldn't hear anything or see anything. And a miracle happened then when she realized that people are communicating, and she just opened herself up to a world that didn't exist to her. Like, she couldn't see the world, she couldn't hear the world, and she became a world inspiration and a world leader. And she had a real intense connection with her heart, and she believed that anything was possible. And so when there are things that I want to achieve, I feel like if Helen Keller could achieve what she did, then I can probably achieve almost anything I really put my heart and mind to.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, so there was another question over here. Okay, here we go.
Is there any roles that you went out for that you didn't get, and how would you react whenever you don't end up with a role that you really want?
Are there any roles you tried out for that you didn't get? I'll answer for everyone. Yes. And how do you handle? Basically, how do you handle not getting a role that you want? Want to start this time? Oh, okay. We get to go first.
I think it is par for the course when you're an actor. You know going into this career that you have to be secure with being rejected. And if you can't be secure, if you can't be okay after being rejected, it's just not the career path for you, because you're going to lose roles more often than you are going to get them. That's just how it works. You know, there are far more actresses out there than there are parts for actresses or actors or anybody. So it's totally normal. I mean, maybe you throw a little pity party afterwards for yourself because you really, really, really liked that show. But in the end, it's quite a close-knit community, speaking at least for voiceover. So if I didn't get it, my friend did. You know, and I want to be happy for her, and it's a much better feeling to be happy for someone than to be angry that you didn't get the part. Because we work so fast nowadays that just wait a month and you'll have another audition for something else. So you just kind of go, oh, bummer, but I'm happy for you, and you get on with your life.
Yeah, that's a very good answer. For me, and I think for all of us, we got into acting partially because we love the art. And we want the show to be good. And so when someone else gets the part, you feel good in a way because you know that they're the best fit for the character, and you want the show to be as good as it possibly can be. And so even though you feel kind of down that you weren't able to contribute in the way you wanted to, it's still good for the show in the end. So it's actually kind of a positive.
I feel like we get it right a lot of the time too. The casting directors, I don't do a lot of film and television, but I hear sometimes it goes to the person who wasn't the best fit for the part. But I feel like in voiceover, it goes to the right person a lot of the time, most of the time.
Yeah, I want to say again, so much of our job is about rejection. In terms of voiceover, I probably average about maybe 5 auditions a day that I read for, sometimes 10 auditions a day, and I usually get none of them. So if you think 5 to 10 auditions a day, that's 25 to 50 auditions a week in voiceover, and I usually get none of them. And I'm up here at a panel and I'm signing autographs, and so it's our job is to audition, and booking the role is the cherry on the cake. It's oh my gosh, I get to get paid now for a little while. I think for me, occasionally with on camera, I'll, if I put a lot of investment and a lot of personal care into something that I audition for on camera, and I just fall in love with a character, and I learn the lines, and I spend hours and hours, and you go in sometimes an audition will last 3 minutes, and you spend I'll spend hours, 10, 20, as many hours as I have before the audition, just working on it, and you go in, and sometimes the audition is 2 to 3 minutes, maybe 5, and then you leave the room and the adrenaline's going, and you're okay, that's it. And I have friends who have their audition sides, and they symbolically just throw it away in a trash can as, okay, I'm letting this go, I've done everything that I can. And I think for me, if I've done everything that I can and I leave an audition, whether it's a voiceover audition or an on-camera audition, if I go, yeah, I wouldn't change anything, I feel really good about that, it's in somebody else's hands, then I feel good about it. If I haven't put in enough work and I do a yucky audition and I leave and I'm oh, I should have, could have, it's a little harder to let go of, because Because then I spend like the next couple of hours or days going, oh, if I only had, oh, I wish I had, and that's almost a worse feeling than if you do really well and never hear. If you do really well and never hear, it's just kind of a little frustrating, but you do, like, and there's like, I have like a discipline, like, okay, I can be sad about this, like if I don't get a role, I can be sad about this for 3 hours. Or I can be sad about this for 2 days, if it's a really big role, and then I have to move on. You know, because there's so much more in the future, and there's so much ahead, you know?
Something Cristina said about how in voiceover the right person gets the role. What's interesting, you can't take it personally when you aren't cast, because often the reason that you aren't the right person could have not a whole lot to do with your talent or even how your audition went. It could be many other reasons. At Funimation right now, we're experiencing this big influx of shows and a lot of work for people because of the simuldub situation that we have going on. But what that means is, if she's the lead in like 2 shows, she could read for my show that I'm directing and be the best one for the part, but we can't do that because she's already the lead in 2. And she can't be the lead in the 3rd one because then when you're watching and you hear the same person in the lead role show after show after show, or there aren't enough hours in a week for her to do like her jobs outside of Funimation and be the lead in 3 things. So there's a lot of logistics that go into why you aren't cast. It isn't necessarily because you were terrible. You're probably great. They're just, you know, anyway, I'm gonna blah. Okay, you get it. You get what I'm saying. That was a good question though. Wow, we have lots of them. Woo!
Can we the red cone hat?
Red cone hat, yay!
Yes, this is a bit of a 2-part question, but as on women in anime, what do you believe is currently some of the most progressive, feministically programming in both mainstream entertainment and anime for women?
Progressive. So if you didn't hear, she said being women, which we are, in case you didn't figure that out. What do we feel is the most progressive stuff out there, entertainment-wise, for women, be it anime, TV, film, etc., etc. Anybody who's got it? It's a lot
Start. For anime, I really like Princess Jellyfish. And if you haven't seen it, you super need to, because it's supposedly a show for girls, but I haven't met a guy who's seen it and didn't like it. It's really an incredible show, and it's about girls, being nerdy and being free to love the things they want without having to fit into a certain mold, but at the same time not shaming women who want to be beautiful or wear makeup or dress up, you know? Basically whatever you want to be, you can be. So Princess Jellyfish is a really, really good one. Yes?
I think that Frozen is very important for 2 reasons, or maybe 3. One, I'm like a little loopy. One, because it has 2 female leads. That's never been done in Disney before. And then it became the highest grossing animated Disney film of all time. And it was directed by a woman.
Yeah, there you go.
All good things. Yeah. I like Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind too. I just recently watched it for the first time, and it's awesome, amazing.
Yeah, I think a lot of Ghibli films in general will have female leads, and the story isn't necessarily about the girl getting the guy or anything like that. And so any type of story that focuses, there's a test out there called the how do you pronounce it? Yeah, the Bechdel test, like how long can people be on screen and not like have a conversation about romance, or 2 women having a talk, and it isn't about a man. There's nothing wrong with romance in your life. There's nothing wrong with wanting that in your life. But sometimes you tire of every single story in entertainment being about the girl getting the guy or vice versa. And I think that Ghibli's great about that.
I recently read an article, or it was an NPR. It was something about how, okay, so you know how in entertainment and stories, a lot of it is based on archetype. In anime, there's a lot of archetype and mythology. And what they were saying is how for our modern age now, we're just at the cusp of it, there's this really significant new archetype for women. And it used to be the old fairy tale archetype for women was the princess who is suffering and then she's saved by her prince. And like you see that over and over in Cinderella and all of these stories that are in anime as well. And they were talking about the historical significance of the life of Princess Di and how it was the opposite of that archetype. You know, it seemed like, oh, this beautiful, this sweet, lovely woman, and she becomes the princess, Princess Di, and everybody falls in love with her, and oh, she's a princess, and you know, she's married to the prince, and it didn't work out. And she has a horrible relationship with the prince, and she literally has to forge, you know, she has to deal with an eating disorder, it's public. She has to deal with all of this stuff that's public, and she has to grow her own strength and her own identity, not as a princess, but as a woman that all of a sudden the whole country of England and the whole world began to worship, not worship, but looked up to as a role model, but not because she was a sweet princess and beautiful princess, but because she was this woman on her own, and she literally died that way. And I think we're starting to see that archetype. If you start to look at it in a lot of different entertainment, that kind of archetype is starting to crop up, and I think we're gonna, in Frozen, you know, and I think we're gonna be seeing versions of that more and more, and it's really gonna become part of the collective unconscious for women.
Yes.
Do you have any favorite quotes from characters that you've played?
Favorite quotes.
Please say them in your voices.
Oh goodness. Almost out of distance. Favorite quotes.
So hard to remember something. Give us a second.
Every day's great at your gymnast.
I won't let you get in the way of their beautiful cat love.
This one's kind of out there, but if anyone's played A Hat in Time, my character actually never speaks, except for once in the entire thing where she pushes a button and goes, boop.
Oh gosh, it's like dance, monkey dance, do a line, same thing. Yeah, I need like a character, right? I can't even, who do you want me to be? What answer do you want, is the question. Winry is basically what I'm hearing. Everyone wants to, okay, my favorite Winry line is, it's one of those new refrigerated trucks. I'm not joking. It's really random, but that is my favorite Winry line. There you go. It's from the Bury the Chopper episode in the original Full Metal anime, and I think it's hilarious and really encompasses everything that Winry is about. Speaking of strong female characters, she is one. Like, yeah, but there's Edward. Yeah, there's Edward. But she's like, I'm gonna do my thing. Like, he's off doing his thing, I'm gonna do my thing. And you know, whenever he decides that he wants to like love me forever, then cool. But I'm not gonna wait around for that. She's gonna go, you know, hang out with, take apart a refrigerated truck and make auto mail, and that's awesome. And I love that even though she's wearing a tube top or a mini skirt most of the time, she's also a total gearhead. And I just imagine her just in a shop, like her arms all dirty, she's covered in grease, she probably really smells. You know, like this is how I imagine Winry. She's not like a typical girl, and I love that about her. There we go. I've started a new thing. If we want to talk about your favorite strong females, we can, or we can take questions. Yeah, we got a question.
Everybody put your hands down. Hands down.
Hands down.
And put them up again.
That's one.
Most if not all of you have done roles where you have to do accents or dialects. What do you do to prepare for the role? Listen to other people talk like that, or
That's a great question.
How do you prepare for accents and dialects?
Who wants to go? Who does accents and dialects well? I do. Do you? Okay. I think first off, I go to a book that I have that breaks down the dialect for me, like which sounds are really important. It also depends I have to do this a lot when you get an audition side, and it always says light something accent, which I hate to see that in an audition because it means, well, how heavy do they want it? And you could do the perfect accent, but oh, it's too heavy, and they assume that you're a terrible actress. Like, no, I'm not, it's studying really hard to be Romanian, you know? So anyway, so I go to the book so that I have something physical to kind of look at and go change this sound to that sound, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a wonderful website called IDEA, and the letters stand for something. And it is a database of pretty much any nationality you can imagine, but they're doing a set speech in English. And then there's just kind of a spoken interview where they're just talking, telling a story, impromptu style. And so you can read along what the text is and imagine how you would say it with your American accent, but then hear this Romanian person. You can choose their age. Often they'll have 5 or 6 people from the same country, and it'll say like how long they've lived in the United States. So she's a 40-year-old woman, she's been here since she was 16, so you can go, okay. And that helps with how heavy or light of a dialect you need. And then if it still hasn't stuck yet, like, I'll maybe think of actors and actresses that I know have either played that dialect or are from that country, and go and find YouTube videos and stuff and listen. And that's what I do. Yeah. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. I love that stuff.
Are you married? No.
I do all that stuff. I actually, I can talk to you guys about this for an hour tomorrow at either. Yeah, I have a dialects and, yeah, I have a panel. It's either anybody, it's like 12 or 1 or something tomorrow. I think it's at 1 p.m. somewhere. Introduction to dialects and accents. What?
It's a panel remain
At 1? Thanks. Yeah, at 1. But I do everything that you do.
Okay.
Yeah, like I do all, exactly. I mean, IDEA is like my Bible. Yeah. And everything Caitlin does, and then I can talk for another hour about it tomorrow.
Okay, cool. It's exciting.
The answer is go to her panel tomorrow. There were definitely more questions last I looked.
All the way to the left.
Do you have any tips for like people wanting to know what's happening?
The tips question.
0 tips. I have 0 tips.
No tips. Never thought about it.
I don't want you to be my competition.
Oh, goodness.
It's a loaded answer.
Oh, well, that's a pretty standard answer of, do community theater and take classes and become an actor and stuff. The one I usually give that I don't hear too often is find a local library or a school and volunteer to read books out loud to small children. Because first off, it forces you to come up with new and interesting voices. And then second, it also forces you to come up with really good cold reads. And the thing about kids is that if you're interesting, they will be really enthusiastic. But if you're boring, they'll let you know right away. So whereas adults might be slightly more polite about whether or not you're a bad actor, kids will let you know. But if you're good, they're super enthusiastic, so it's a good payoff.
That's sweet.
Yeah, I mean, and again, voice acting is acting. So take acting classes, be in plays, be in as many plays as you can. And when I say to people, I mean, none of us have had the same, like, if we really sat down and each person described their path, each one of us, and like of the hundreds of other voice actors I know, everybody has a different path. So I wouldn't say that there's one path. For example, myself, I didn't even think about voice acting. Like when I watched cartoons, I thought, it didn't occur to me that an actor did the voices. I just thought they talked that way. And it wasn't until I was in my 20s and in France that I got offered a voiceover job, and then it just one thing led to another. But because of all of my acting training, I just fell into it, I'm such a proponent of acting training. I think voice acting is acting. It's not about just making a voice, The other thing that I would say is when you ask for advice or help from people, like for example, if you get on Twitter or on our fan pages, or sometimes people get my email and send me emails, and I'm not good at answering those because I get so many, but I do answer them on my fan page and on Twitter. I find that I can answer people who ask me one specific question. Like, Karen, I've already done this, I want to move to this level. Or I'm just beginning, what should I do? Or I've, recorded this and this, I want to record a demo tape. But whatever you want to do in life, if you ask somebody's help, people will much easily be able to help you. That's not good grammar. People will
Much more easily be able to. There you go.
there. They'll be more compelled to help you, and it'll be easier for them to help you if you ask just one specific thing. Can you give me your advice on this thing? Or A, B, or C, what should I do? And if I do this, can I write back to you and let you know that I did this and ask you another question? I get all the time, like, all these, Karen, I want to do this, what should I do? Or, Karen, tell me about dialects. Or, tell me, what's it like to, or, I want to be a voiceover actress, what did you do? And I'm like, I'm looking at this, and I'm like, I can't even begin to answer it. Like, I can't, and it's like, I want to help this person, but I don't have time to what can I possibly say that's going to be that thing that's going to help them? I don't have time to write my life story. And this goes for anybody who, mentors are really important, and you should ask people to mentor you, and you should ask people for help. And we love to help. People love to help other people rise up, but you have to make it doable for people to help you and not overwhelm them with requests. Like, this is my one question, can you answer that for me? Does that make sense, you guys?
That's awesome. Good answer. Good answer. In the orange with the red bow. Yes.
How have your values impacted you as someone working in the voiceover industry?
Oh, that's a hot question. How have your values impacted you as someone working in the industry?
Actually, when I answered my first question earlier that Karen asked, after that happened, it occurred to me like, oh, this is the most important thing. Okay, and I don't think I've ever talked about this at an anime convention, but I believe in God. And so with that comes the belief that if there's a voice in my heart and my gut and things are opening for me, doors are starting to open, that's the path that I gotta go on, and that's why I have no fear. Well, I still have fear, but you know what I mean? That's why I can fearlessly march into battle, so to speak. Because, and you know what? I have not been let down once. Even the hardest failures that have hit me, and they've hit me really hard, I see it now, even like 1 or 2 years later, and it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. I've become such a stronger person. I see this about that person, what I needed to learn about myself and about people in general. And so that is the biggest reason why I'm able to do what I do.
I mean, you wound up asking a question to a panel full of people of faith, I guess. My grandfather was a pastor, in case anyone's wondering. So, I grew up in a church household. And, it does affect, what you do, but like Cristina was saying, if you believe that the Lord opens doors for you, then, who are you to say no? I've also learned that faith is about your own relationship with God. So you don't get to judge anyone else's choices or the direction of the path that He has planned for them. So even though there are some things, like some shows I won't do, I love and support all of my friends who do shows like that, and I'll still watch them to support them because I love them. It's just that personally, for me, I feel where I'm at, I just wouldn't. And I think that's the thing, it's very personal. I can't tell you how my faith is supposed to define your faith. But those are the choices that I've made.
Awesome. That's really good. I think I used to, I think, struggle a lot being a Christian in this industry because half the women are naked all the time. And it isn't even so much that really bothered me. Sometimes it can, depends on the material, but if like I used to go to a really big church and I was in leadership and I was known, so at about that time I was starting to do things in anime, and I actually struggled and kind of got kicked out of the house where I was living because the people I lived with didn't understand what this anime stuff was. And God bless them, I love them. Like they were like my spiritual parents, but they just didn't get it. Like, and I couldn't be in this show that was about magicians, and I couldn't be in this thing called Full Metal Alchemist. Caitlin, do you know what alchemy is? I'm like, do you know that it's a show about sacrifice? Like, that's what I wanted to tell them. Like, they just didn't get it. But I think that very similarly to what both Cristina and Ayu have said, that like our faith is our own, and at the end of the day, maybe I do make decisions that some other Christian person would be like, well, I would never have done that. But I don't want to get all biblical, but I just feel excited. Easter is coming soon, you guys. like it says that we're supposed to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling. Not fear, but like in reverence. So I feel that I approach every audition and every role, and I sort of have to go like, well, even when I'm unsure, like I don't really know if this is something I should be doing, but I'm gonna audition, and please just close it over, I'm not supposed to do it, and it's just kind of a learning thing, and I just hope that at least I can touch people personally in this kind of environment once I get here, because you never know what type of character a fan is going to relate to and why. So I also never want to just go, oh no, that looks horrible. You just never know. Someone could tell me such and such character really got me through a hard time, and I'm gonna feel so bad because at home I was like, God, that show is filthy and disgusting, and I can't believe that I did it. But it really means something to someone. So who am I to bash on it? You know, I don't know where I'm going. I'm rambling. Still a good answer. Still a good answer. It wasn't as lovely as their answer.
Yes, it was. I just want to say, you guys are asking I want to give you guys a hand, because you guys are asking the best questions. No, but really, you guys are asking these questions that are like making us think, and like making me like contemplate my life, and just no, but also like making me think like, what can I say to you guys that would contribute? Okay, so how do my values? When I was little, when I was growing up, I used to want to be different than who I am. And I dreamt of being an actress. That was my dream. But I somehow thought that I couldn't be a successful actress who I am. I thought I needed to be prettier and taller and bigger boobs, and I thought that I wasn't pretty enough. I thought I didn't like the way my personality was, and I thought that I needed to be different. And I spent a lot of years of my life trying to be different from who I am. And as I realized that I was doing that, and I started looking at people, and I realized the people I really admired were the people who were just who they were. And I kind of went on a kind of conscious, kind of unconscious search to just be me, and like, what was that, and how would I play the character as me, not as like Brooke Shields or whatever. And it's really cool because, you know, I'm not like 6 foot, and I'm not a model, and I'm, you know, I mean, I am who I am, and I'm really successful, you know. And I think that one of the things, like, I'd like to be really, really successful. One of the reasons being that I want to show people that you don't have to be any different from who you are to shine. And like, that's something I really learned to believe. Like, you don't have to be different. You don't have to change yourself. You just have to grow your own courage within who you are, shine your own light from whoever you are. And I think that we all have all of these challenges in our life, because our lives are mythical paths. Like, our lives are mythical paths, and our lives are a work of art in progress. And if we can just take like the bigger clay and throw it on the wheel and see what we can make out of it. So to answer your question, how my values have affected it is I really want to be true to whatever this creature is. And like, still to this day, one of the things I've been working on recently is not lying. Like, I used to lie about a lot of silly things. Like, people would say, oh, you know this show, or oh, you know that, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I know. You know, and I was one of those silly people who just like, because I wanted to be cool, like, oh yeah, I know. And I'd and I look at myself going, Karen, why are you lying? You don't know it, don't lie. You know? And I've been trying to cut that out of my life right now. Like, anytime, just be honest. Like, no, I don't know what that is. Or, yeah, I do know what that is. Or, yeah, I do like that. You like that? Yeah, I do. No shame. But you know, it's like, as a grown adult, like, I still find find these little things because I'm afraid that there's some, like, that's bad, that I'm different, or, you know, and I'll go into an audition and I really have to work to go, how do I play this character, not how do I think it should be played? And yeah, my dream is to have like huge success just being me and show people that whoever you are, you don't need to change. You just grow and find your success and face your challenges from the person that you are, with whatever handicaps there are, with whatever imperfections there are. You know, those things become your strengths sometimes.
Are we allowed to ask about characters you played?
Yes.
No. Is that your question?
Well, I had a question about Madoka was my gateway anime. I read a lot of horror novels, and my friend said, hey, watch this, it's really dark, and I loved it. And the character of Homer really fascinated me, and I wondered, why do you think she was, oh, this is really spoilery, but everyone's seen it, so why was she so...
Who here is watching Madoka Magica?
Oh, God.
Who here has not seen Rebellion?
Oh, I wasn't
A lot of people.
I wasn't talking about Rebellion. I haven't seen it either. I haven't seen it either. This is about the series.
Okay.
What do you think propelled her to become so fascinated or obsessed with Madoka? I haven't seen Rebellion either, so yeah.
That's a really, I get that question a lot. But it's a very difficult one to answer because this character, it's really hard to talk about too without spoiling it, because it really is such a big spoiler. It's like the big twist of the show. But I mean, she even said it herself, and it's love. And I'm kind of struggling with it right now because.
Sorry.
No, I'll say because I really feel like it's not that kind of love. It's friendship. Because as grown up and somebody who's never had a friend before, and then having the singular experiences that she's able to have to relive things over and over again, it's just something that's unique to her. I hope that's
yeah, that's
so
basically, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I'm sorry if
what's it like being on the spot and voice acting?
Being on the spot. This.
What do you mean by on the spot?
Like, you get the audition, you go to your first day, you're on the spot, I'm guessing they give you a script or something of what you're supposed to say. What is it like on your first day of just right there? Just there waiting. Cool reads.
Yes, developing character. On my first day, Bevan shot me with a Nerf gun once. That was a bummer.
Sounds like fun.
I think part of when you finally book it, kind of like Karen said, it's like the icing on the cake, it's the cherry on top. But it's also the thing that you've been preparing for. So hopefully, once you actually get a role, you're like, okay, cool, let's work. Let's use that degree that I got, or that whatever I've learned from wherever I learned it. One thing I'm noticing now that I'm back at directing again, like I love every aspect of it, from directing like the lead character down to the bit and walla actors. I love bit and walla actors. They're so much fun, and they're really, honestly and truly, some of the best actors in the building. Not everybody can do what they can do. I bring them in, I shove a bunch of them in a box, and I say, okay, now you're fighting. Yeah, it's easy to stand there and shout and yell, but a lot of the time, they don't really know what all is going on in the show, and I don't have the luxury of time to tell them. It's just like, well, you're this guy, and those are those guys, and now talk for 2 minutes, and here are the kinds of things that you can say. And they have to straight up improvise for 2 minutes, and then do it again, because you have to do it about 4 times. And then they'll get out, and I'll say, okay, now you're gonna be a little boy, and blah, and go. And then, sweet, let's go over to the next page. Can you be this guy, and such, blah, 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 go. And it's this. It's pretty much at this pace we're recording all the time. And their friends are sitting out in the room waiting their turn, and there's like the pressure of, oh, everybody's listening to me. Otherwise, if it's just the main character, it's just you and the director and the engineer. But when you're doing bits and walla, everybody's in the room listening to you. Don't screw it up. Yeah, so I think that type of like pressure and that sort of energy is really exciting. gets me excited to be working, and I get really excited by the talent of the people that I work with. So I guess when you say, what's it like? So there's pressure, but hopefully you're prepared for that. And I had a really wonderful teacher in college who taught me that fear is really just adrenaline. So take it and use it. It's exciting.
Every time.
Let's say something. To me, there's two different answers to that question. One is if I go in for a role that I've been doing over and over, that role is, I'm used to doing it, and I go into the studio and I don't feel like I'm on the spot. I'm like, yeah, let's work. But before that is, yes, I booked the job, but now I'm in the studio and I'm in my very first session. And so there's all this like, you know, and your first session, it's not like your 5th session or your 8th session or your 10th session with a character. The first session, it's not ironed out yet. So it's like that blob of clay that you throw in a wheel, and it's got a form, but it's not like, you know, like the first day I did Nanako is not like when I go into the studio to record Nanako now because I know her so well, or I guess. You know, you're even though you have like the Japanese voice, that you have to create that character as a sustainable character with multi-dimensions that's going to be through the whole series. So I've had to accept that the first session of any character is going to take a little longer, and you're going to have more takes, and you're going to have more screw-ups, and this isn't going to be quite right, and there's going to be more of a feeling of, oh God, I hope I'm doing okay. As opposed to when you really got the character and you're just in the studio rocking and rolling with it, you know, and oh my gosh, now this character's having this, and they've never had this happen, but I know the character, so, you know, I will be in a car crash or whatever. And then there's sessions that I have where often I'll get booked for a session and I don't even know what I'm doing, and I arrive in the studio and they're like, oh, here are your sides, or you're doing, you know, the boy, and you're doing a fighting thing, and you're doing, and there's often a thing in me that'll be like, oh my gosh, can I do that? And then I have to go, yes, you can do that. I don't know what it's going to sound like when you open up your mouth, but something will come out, and it will either be really cool, or it will suck, or it'll be somewhere in between, but whatever happens, you can tweak it. You know, so.
5 minutes.
Oh, she checked Twitter.
Okay, so what
Yeah. How many people have tweeted about us?
So I counted, like a lot of people have, but I counted like 14 tweets.
14.
So,
All right, yeah, pick a number.
1 and 14.
7.
Right in the middle.
7. Oh, you're psychic.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All right.
Is Peyton Hansen.
Peyton Hansen. All right.
You're welcome.
All right, so 5-minute warning, that's like time enough for like 1 more, 2 more questions. We're gonna do lightning round? Lightning round.
So ask
Okay, get your hands in the air.
Ask us things that would have like short answers.
Yes, we're only gonna answer in 1 word or less. We're just gonna go bam, bam, bam down the line. All right, the minute there aren't any hands in the air, this panel is over. So if you have a question, get it up there. I'll start from this side. What character will you relate to most?
Huggy.
Hackett.
Ruri, Durara.
Anna, Nina, and Monster.
Alright, first one. Yes.
Oh, Caitlin, what do you have that dialogue?
Oh, it's, too late. All right, next. Yes.
Is it called accents? In like all caps?
It's something like that, like accents, a something for actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the slowest
I think I have the same book.
Yeah. And it comes with CDs.
Yeah. It's called accents.
Accents.
And then subtitle for actors.
Something for actors, yes.
How awkward is it to fall in temper? It's like boom, or things like that. Like how awkward.
How awkward is it to make a falling sound?
And like,
That awkward. All right, not at all. Yes.
It's an industry question. What's the best way to make a combination for that, for you to actually show up at a con? Like, if you're trying to go to a con, what's the best thing to look for?
What do you look for in a convention? Please answer in one word.
What do I look for in a convention? Ask my agent. I have an agent who helps because I need help.
A hotel.
Ooh, it's a plus when it's like in Hawaii.
Hawaii. It has to be in Hawaii.
Price.
Wait, what?
I am the same. I love my booking agent, Jenny McManus, and I trust her opinion about everything, and I love and adore her.
All right. Yes.
Cake or pie?
Cake or pie?
Cake.
Cheesecake. Cake.
Blueberry cobbler?
Yes.
Does it affect you when your character dies?
Does it affect you when your character dies?
Often.
Always.
No more money.
Always.
Right over here. Oh, you're a girl.
Have you ever had to play a role that you really hated or regret playing later?
No, I don't hate any of my characters. I think it's my job to bring them to life, and unless they, as a character, hate themselves, I don't hate my characters.
No hate, only love.
No hate.
Love. All right, questions.
You go way back with the glasses.
That's the weirdest line you've ever had? That's not a one-word answer, unless the line is one word.
None of our answers.
I don't remember.
We're horrible.
Don't remember. I
I'm
never
sorry.
had to memorize them, so I don't remember.
I won't let you get in the way of their beautiful cat love.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Some of those really long names or words in Japanese that you have to say that take like 10,000 takes to get it right.
Any other ones? So we're gonna end the
Good.
I see you hit
Huh?
Manga or manga?
Manga or manga?
manga.
Manga.
Nyanga.
Right here with the hood
Oh.
in the ear. Yes, ear.
Favorite pony?
Favorite pony?
For Tony, Dr. Hooves.
The big scary black one that the bad guy rides in Milan.
Epona.
The Black Stallion.
Non-answer.
Red shirt. Yes, that's you. You're wearing a red shirt.
Oh yeah. What favorite ice cream flavor?
Chelsea chip cookie dough.
Yes.
Bryce and I have this running joke. It's called Bryce Cream. It's very
Red velvet.
You can ask about my faith, but you can't ask about ice cream. You made her cry. Pressure.
What would be your favorite aspects of your Bleach character?
Bleach. Favorite aspect of your Bleach characters?
Oh. I love being the tsundere.
I love Soifon's toughness, and I love Momo's very sweet soul.
I've always wondered if they just call the main character Bleachico. Questions?
Last one right here by the against the longer.
Make it a good one.
Favorite color?
Favorite what?
Color.
Favorite color? Oh my goodness.
I really like orange and teal.
I like black and white. They're not actually colors, they're shades, but oh well.
I like purple.
Blue like my sweater.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks so much, you guys.